Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you all. Monday morning after daylight saving. Which you are also we're happy. Thanks so much for being here for our Title I meeting. I want to introduce our team. I'm the proud principal of Enfield. I'm also joined with Dr. Michelle Mudd. She's our director of support services. She's going to go through a little more of like the legality parts and fun stuff. And then I'm also joined by our three wonderful reading specialists. We have Mrs. Rachel DeCrezio, we have Mrs. Patty Van Santen, and Mrs. Nicole Earhart. So we're really here to talk about Title I and what does that mean for your child. We're really fortunate that we have many different resources at Enfield and Springfield Township in general. And we have some check-ins along the way just to make sure that our students are making the progress that we want to happen. There's always that classroom level support that all students get, but then there's sometimes we identify that a small group intervention might also help your child. And so we are here to talk a little bit more about what Title I means for your child. We've, I guess, about a month in now about that Title I group, so we're seeing some good progress. We want you guys to have a great understanding of what's happening when your child is communicating with us. So we're going to talk about differentiated instruction, small group instruction, how we progress monitoring, how we're making sure how they're doing in the Title I group, and then also other supports. Any questions so far?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Title I is unique in that it's a federally funded program, so the school district actually receives funds. It doesn't fully support all of the Title I efforts that we do, but it does help to offset those costs, and so we're able to provide small group instruction for your students through those funds. All of those funds are based on free reduced lunch rates. So when people turn in for if they need for your reduced lunch, that's what helps our school district generate a lot of these Title I funds, because it is based off that number. But then we use these funds as a district to support reading support in kindergarten, first, and second grade. So inside your packet, you have some really important documents in there. First off, you have the Title I equity plan that just describes how we make sure that the students who need the support are getting that support. We have a parent and family engagement plan. As a student who is receiving Title I services, we have to outreach to you, and we hope that you will be an active participant with us by coming to conferences, by coming to meetings, by being in touch with your teachers when they reach out to you. We also gave a review of our spring 2023 survey results, and you also have a copy of the school parent compact, which was sent electronically to everybody. So if you haven't signed that already, please send it back, because our teachers do need that in order to continue providing that service. We also are going to have some additional learning opportunities this year. We're going to go over some of the PA state standards, our Common Core standards, and we also have a brand new elementary curriculum guide. If you haven't had a chance to view it on our website, we're actually going to take you through all of the unique aspects of that. It is a great document that outlines everything that's done at Enfield, and then from K to 5, we also have middle school and high school ones as well. So those opportunities will all be filmed and shared with families throughout the year so that you have a better understanding of what's going on at your child. So in our reading center, we have well-trained reading specialists. They're sitting here right before you. We try to create a comfortable environment because we want kids to learn to love to read in any format. And then there's various reading interventions that are going to be used, and our Title I reading specialists are going to talk a little bit more about that.
All right, good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Rachel DeCrezio. I work with some of the students that are in your family. They're in this room today. And I just want to give you a little bit more of an overview of what qualifies your child for Title I reading support. So we give school-wide assessments 3 times a year, beginning, middle, and end. And depending upon the grade level of your child, we're looking for different skills. So in kindergarten, we're looking more for letter recognition as well as letter and sound correspondence. As they're nearing end of kindergarten, first grade, we're looking at additional skills using our Acadian benchmark assessment. So we're looking for things like phoneme segmentation fluency. We're listening for the sounds that they can hear in words. We're also doing nonsense word fluency. So are they able to tap different sounds out of consonant, vowel, consonant words? We're also looking then towards first into second grade, their oral reading fluency. So given a short passage, are they able to compose or read the words in that passage? And then are they able to understand that passage that they're reading by retelling what they've just read? So that's the Acadian's benchmark assessment. The STAR Early Literacy and the STAR Reading are given on their iPad, and it's a computer adaptive assessment, which means that the complexity of the questions adapts dependent upon their answer that they had just given on the previous question. So based off of all those assessments, we've determined that your child might need some extra support here this school year. So within our small group, we are maybe working with 3, 4, 5, or 6 students at a time in our classrooms. We're using differentiated instruction to meet the needs of those students. So based on the assessments that we've given, we're taking those results and we're really targeting and pinpointing exactly what your child needs in our classroom. We progress monitor every Friday, and we're having those ongoing conversations with the classroom teacher. I want to point out that if your child is in kindergarten, they are receiving support for 30 minutes, Monday through Thursday. And then if they're in first or second grade, they're receiving support 40 minutes a day, Monday through Thursday. So a little bit longer amount of time for first and second grade. But I do want to also point out that Title I students, when they are working with the reading specialist, they are not missing any new instruction that's happening in their regular classroom. So their regular classroom teacher might also be pulling small groups during that time to work on additional skills with the students that are in the classroom. So I talked about how your child qualified for Title I. You're probably also wondering how they might exit Title I. I want to point out it's not a permanent placement. Again, I said that we do those assessments beginning, middle, and end of the year. So when we do those assessments again at the mid-year, it'll be January timeframe. We'll be looking at how your child did on those assessments, and your child may potentially exit that Title I support based off of those results, or they may continue in Title I throughout the rest of the school year. And again, we'll do those assessments at the end of the year in May. It doesn't carry over to the following school year. So again, if your child is in Title I throughout the school year, beginning to end, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be in Title I again at the start of the following year. Any questions about entering Title I or exiting Title I? Okay.
Hi everyone, again my name is Nicole Earhart. I'm going to take some time to explain what it looks like when your children are with us during that Title I time. So as Rachel explained, Title I instruction is always in addition to what they're already doing in their grade level. So your child is going to receive instruction with their classroom teacher, and then there's a safe time in their reading block where no new instruction is taking place, and that's where they're coming with us to get that extra support at their level. During that time, we use evidence-based interventions. So these programs are meant to align with the skills and the assessments that they were given and are shown to be effective in having children make growth. So the first one that we do is Tegrity. That works on phonological and phonemic awareness. Those are the skills on whether or not a child can hear the first sound in the word. If I say the word bug, are you able to segment or break apart all the different sounds? So I'm saying bug to your child, are they then able to tell me the sounds in that word are it also works in the reverse. So if I say the sounds for act, can you put those sounds together to make the word cat? Then we also use a program called Foundations. This is used at the classroom level, and then we give them a double dose with us
And so we take all of those sounds and words you hear in language and apply the print to them. So they're learning how to match letters to sounds. We're taking our sight words or our trick words and teaching them to the students. And we're using it with a multi-sensory approach. So we're really not just using the pencil and paper. We want them to be able to hear the words and the sounds, and then we want them to be able to use full body movement. We want them using extra senses. We often use sand tables, magnetic letters, so they're moving. When we're practicing writing the letters, we're using pencil and paper, but we're also doing full body movement as well. The skills in there work not with just reading, but spelling as well. Okay. So again, it's a multi-sensory approach. We use letter sound cards. I believe our kindergarten students are going to get an extra copy of them, and some students have already received them at home. Having that picture cue there helps them solidify that sound in their brain. So when you're going over letters as students, you wouldn't just say A, A. You want to pull in A, apple, A, B, bat, B. When we're breaking apart words, we're using a strategy called tapping. And so students have an ability to break it apart with that movement in their hands as well. I'm actually going to move to the next slide, and we're going to get a chance to practice this today. You might see that the cards on the slide are a little bit different depending on what the letters are. All of our consonant letters are yellow, and then they're pink for the vowels. That just gives an extra visual aid for our students in helping solidify the sounds and the letter correspondence in their brain. So if we take that first word, bat, what I would ask the students to do is put up their tapping hand, and we're going to tap each sound for the letter. So we're going to do this one together, and then we're going to do another one together, and then I'm going to call on a brave volunteer to do it for me. All right, so we're doing this word right here. I'm going to point to the letter, and you're going to tap out the sounds with me. When we say this B, instead of saying buh, I'm going to clip the sound, so it's just boo. Here we go. Boo, boo, ah. Good. Now we're going to blend it together. Bat. What's the word? Bat. Good. You'll notice down here we have CK on one card. This is a digraph, so whenever there's a card, it represents one sound. Some letters, when they're put together, make one sound. So we're going to tap 3 sounds. And then for those that don't know, CK makes the sound. And so we're going to tap them together and then blend it again. Are you ready? Can you put up your tapping hand? Here we go. It, sit. Good. Would anybody like to try this one up here? Have any brave volunteers? I'll give you a clue. Even though there's S and T can be a blend, you're going to tap the sounds individually. Anybody want to try it? Maybe somebody who was here last year for the presentation. I promise it's the same word. Do you want to do it together? All right. Excellent. Thank you. Awesome. And then we also have our letters and our trick words. Trick words in our program are those sight words, the ones that don't follow the typical letter sound correspondence. So we practice them a little bit different. We use a concept skill called guide writing. And so with that being said is I will usually have it up on my board. You'll see here on the left side for our kindergartners, we have the letters. So we'll take 2 fingers. I'm actually going to put this down. You'll have them point to the letter and hold whatever they don't. If they write with the right hand, they're going to take their left hand to hold their elbow. If they write with their left, you would do the opposite. And so you're going to do a full body movement. You want to point out where they're starting. So the letter C starts at the plane line. It curves down to the grass line. And then you would just repeat the letter sound for combination. So C, cat, and then they would go C, cat. At home, you of course don't have a big smartboard like we do in the classrooms. A fun way to practice this can be with chalk on your pavement. If you have, honestly, just going out into the dirt or the mud, kids love doing that. Having them do the big body movement and anything that's going to give that extra like sensory push back. I've done with my children putting shaving cream on the table. Like 2 days for your buck. Not only are they practicing their letters, your table gets clean too. So that can help. And then we would do that with our trick word. So same thing, I would repeat the trick word for them. So this is the word done. I would explain to them why it is an exception to the rule. Usually when we have this E at the end, it jumps over the consonant letter to make the O say its name. But this is not the word done, it's the word done. And so we would then skywrite that whole letter. So we say done. While we're doing those movements, we're saying the letters out loud. So D, O, N, E, done. You would have them do it with their eyes open. Then you want them to close their eyes and try to imagine what that word looks like in their head. So the child would close their eyes, spell it again, D, O, N, E. And then for a third time, they can then try it on the paper. So getting a lot of those extra repetitions in. All right. I'm going to pass it over to Mrs. Van Zanten unless anybody has questions about those activities.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, like Nicole said, my name is Patty Van Zanten, and I'm a reading specialist. I thoroughly enjoy working with all of the students at the center. So we just heard what we're doing in our reading center, right? You're probably thinking like, well, how can I know at home? So obviously, number one, we need you to encourage and to model good writing at your child. When you come to the library, select a book for your child, bring a book home that you like to read. Talk about the books that you've read before, talk about the book that you're reading with your children. You want those habits. Children, when they're watching you read, that healthy habit, and they're going to model that behavior. It doesn't necessarily need to be a book each day. You can be reading a newspaper and talking about that. You can be reading magazines. If there's a cereal box out or you're making a recipe, there are all ways that the child can learn comprehension, learn vocabulary, speaking, and how much you need to be important to know something. So to encourage good writing habits, you want it to be authentic, right? So there are thank you cards that can be written when someone's thoughtful or a gift, encouraging them if they have some kind of party to write out the invitation instead of typing one up or purchasing one at the store. Any way that you get them right. I don't know if you're right myself, but I constantly have to-do lists all around the house. I have an ongoing grocery shopping list. Encourage the child to come over and to think, what do you have going on throughout the day? What do you have going on throughout the week? And they can create their own to-do list they can add to the grocery shopping list. If your child is constantly calling out from the other room, like, I don't know how to spell that, Nicole was just sharing with us tapping. You don't want to be calling out and letting them know, like, the word have, H-A-V, tap out the sounds. What is the beginning sound that you hear? What is the middle sound that you hear? What is the ending sound? And giving them ownership in that. We don't want to correct them and make it a chore that each word needs to be spelled out, or it won't be fun for them. So the second way that you can encourage reading and writing at home is to create a reading. Include your child and say, where would there be the best set? Like, where do you have a quiet space, a well-lit space? You're gathering all of your supplies. You have your books, you have pencils, you have crayons, paper, staplers. Any way that they can read, they can create their own books to write. But finding an area that is conducive to their own. If you have a pop-up tent, sometimes the kids want to bring their blankets in. They want to read all of their stuffies. They can be reading in their bedroom, they can be reading in the basement, wherever that's conducive to your home. But encouraging a place where they can read and write, where they can go and enjoy it, and including that in their daily routine is very important. Nicole just talked to us about the trick word. Hopefully you have received the trick word from the classroom teachers. In addition to having the big body pushing movements and writing them in the mud or in sand or shaving cream, another fun way, the kids, if you write the word and you start erasing certain letters, so you write the word, you have them read the word, and then you erase. If you're writing the word of, right, you erase the O, and have them take a look at the word and have them tell you, what are we missing here? They enjoy that. It's a fun way for them to learn how to use those words. Dr. Lex talked about the Title I School Involvement Compact. When you sign it, you're saying that you are going to have your child read at home. You're going to have an area in which they can do their homework nightly. You're giving them adequate bedtime routines and sleep so that they're ready to come to school and learn the next day. On our behalf, we will let you know when we are having events at school. Next month, we'll be having parent-teacher conferences, so that'll be a good time for you to come and we can share your birth with your child with you. And that last part takes us to the communication piece. In any relationship, communication is key, and that's no different between home and school. We want to communicate with you. If there's a question or there's something that you don't understand, we are happy to explain that to you. We can, meet in person. We can meet over Zoom, on the phone. We're not only here and dedicated to your child, but we also want to make sure that we're partnering with you. So if there's resources that you need, please, communicate with the classroom teacher, communicate with us, and we are more than happy to help. All right, so it takes us to our email addresses. You can also call the school and we can talk over the phone or like I said in person. Any questions on how to help at home?
Yeah, just describe. I didn't quite get the letter sound.
Okay, so if you're reading a word and you're sitting next to your child and the child is stuck, we have them look at that word, right? They're looking at each letter. So if the word is train, you would say, get your mouth ready to say the first word, and you would have them tap each sentence. The next letter, A. That would be a tricky part of the word if your child is younger and they have not learned that A-I says A, you then say A-I makes the sound A. And what is that last sound? You have to tap that together. They can either tap it for A, or they can successfully blend it through A. Sometimes it's easier to kind of stretch the part train for other students who are having a hard time hearing each one for A. Train. What is the word train? Is that how? Oh wait, you're not just moving the child. Don't work me for it.
And repeat what you were saying about there is another room that asks so to do or not.
You wouldn't want to say the word is train. It's T-R-A-I-N, right? They're saying I don't know how to spell it, and you're busy with something, and you're like just calling it out. This is how you spell it. And they're like, okay, what was that letter again? R. What was that letter? As you can see, that's not helpful. I mean, it's a big way to do it to get it done. But you're saying, come on in here. Let's look at let's get your paper. So guess what are the sounds that you hear? And have them tell you the sound. What's the first sound you heard? What's the next sound you heard? A, and then you might have to say like that A is sometimes we read it as an AI. That ending sound train. That's how we always say if students are good readers. Correlation is they're also good writers because we tap to read, but we also tap to write. So if they're writing a thing, they're writing to their Aunt Patty. Say, what's that first sound? You hear E and sometimes the Y. They're just that's how you can.
Patty, can I add to? I was just happened to be in a kindergarten class on Friday, and they were working on I think what they wanted to do this weekend or something, and it was just beautiful to see. They were just really focused on like, all right, what sounds are you hearing in that word? And so it progresses from kindergarten to first and second grade, because you might have a second grader that says, wait, that doesn't look right, like I'm missing a sound. And so it's just giving you nothing you do is gonna like hurt them. So even if if they're only picking up a couple sounds, that's okay. But if they notice, wait, I think I remember that and seeing like, oh yeah, you're right, there's another letter and that's hard to do. But there's really nothing that you can do that's gonna alter what we're doing.
Right. Yeah.
At all. So
if you have to tell them the word, you can tell them the word.
yeah, exactly.
With
right.
regard to tapping, trying to take them to have ownership.
Yeah.
And also how that sometimes it's the vocabulary between home and school. If we're saying tapping, we're saying tapping, that way there's oh wow, that's how you do that.
We call it long, short,
Yeah.
or something else. I'm doing it. They call it the long sound. So I think I'm using a different way of explaining.
But there are long sounds. No, there absolutely there's long sounds.
The E jumps back.
You're
saying a name, and I'm like,
You're doing it. You're doing it.
jumps back and we say our name. And it's long.
You are absolutely right. They just haven't covered that in kindergarten yet.
Okay.
That's probably why he's
I
looking
think
at
I'm
you like.
confusing
Yeah.
if I say James for long.
Long.
But along with that, the long sounds say their name. So that's what she was saying, like the E jumps over the N and the O
Yeah.
says its name,
You don't want to
which is
undo it.
basically just saying,
Oh,
and that's that.
you're right on track. He's getting a little extra push as a kindergartner
You might
hearing that.
remember that when they do get to like, oh.
That's the magic key.
That's all.
Right. Yeah.
These are great questions. What other questions do you guys have?
I have a question. So like sometimes my son is tired, right? And he doesn't want to do it. Like we go to do our 15 or 20 minutes, he doesn't want to do it. So I don't want to be like making it a chore, but I also don't want to skip it. So it's like, I mean, what's a happy medium? Should I say like, you know, I just, I'm not like, what are your strategies there when they're just like resisting that behavior comes in?
I think maybe you can take note as to what time of the day you're doing. You know, are you doing it right before bed, or are you doing it right after school? Maybe when they come home from school, they take a half hour to, you know, assign it to fresh air, take a break, and then work with them. And unfortunately, if your schedule is that we can only do it at nighttime and they're tired, then you can work with them. You know, you can read one. I read one and you read one. You know, what's the balance there? You know, how about, you know, I'll read two, you can do one, but it should never be a chore. It should not be a chore. You know, if it turns into fighting and crying, you stop. And you don't need to go over 15 minutes. I mean, you know, as a mom in your gut, what's best to do, but absolutely, if you have to skip a night, you have to skip a night. I mean, you want that time to be bonding time before bed, not.
I like that suggestion too, like, if like I want to, yeah,
Absolutely.
as long as you're.
And you can read it together. You know what, you're tired tonight, so am I. Let's get this done real quick.
And,
Right, like, let's
right,
just read
and
five.
that focus might just be on just like the story, talking about it, right? Like what's happening, instead of the focus on, all right, let's sound out this word. And that's okay too. That's still like, you're looking at a book, you're looking at it, you might not do the whole book. So 15 minutes is it's got it. One day you might do 20 and then the next day not. That's okay too.
Absolutely.
Great, thanks.
How much? Every time I do reading with Andrew, it's like we down together, we read. Like he will never just pick up a book and read by himself. But I also have a fourth grader who is the same way. Like, well, I'm gonna have to read with you. You know what I mean? Like, so where does that kind of?
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's really just different for each child. I wish I had a magic ball to say, all right, it's gonna happen in fifth grade, right? But just depends either way. And some students just need that little push to say, like, this is hard, but it's important. It's okay. And they might enjoy just that time, like that time with you too.
Right.
That's all right. They're still like eyes on the text.
And there's lots of different ways to read. You've heard like recipes, cereal boxes, magazines, you know, so don't just think that kids have to pick up a book. They can read in so many different formats, and some kids really like informational things. Like they'll absolutely read a recipe with you, right? But they might not want to pick up like a fiction book, like Captain Underpants. But encourage reading in any format that you can.
I found it helpful, especially as like your kids are getting older, just to be kind of like honest with them about what the purpose of reading is, and think as like as adults, we read for pleasure, we read because our job is telling us we need to read this document and write a report on it, and we read because we want to learn something new. So if you're learning something new, picking books, whether it's sports or art or music that align with that, or sometimes it's we have to read this because your job right now is in school, but going back to what Dr. Merkel said, like maybe I'll read it to you, but then I need you to talk about it. That kind of helps when you're like just being totally transparent about why we read. And then again, modeling too, like, oh, I'm really tired, I want to go to sleep, but like I have to read this because tomorrow at work I'm going to do A, B, or C. It's helpful.
Question? We do have a survey up here. We would appreciate if you could use your phone and your camera app and take the quick survey to give us some feedback. And then other than that, yes.
We have Amy.
Yes. And we're also going to introduce Amy Ambler from Springfield.
Right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming out. So I'm the children's librarian who attended this year at the Springfield Library. So we are very happy to help you guys with finding things for your child. So they were speaking about finding that right thing, finding informational text. So I'm more than happy to help if you come in and are looking for the right thing. Let's find their interest. We have magazines, there's also ebooks and things that you can do. So there's a whole world of things that we can try and find the right thing that's gonna interest them. one of our programs in particular is great for children with building reading confidence. It's called Tail Wagging Tutors, where they read to a therapy dog. So the dogs are trained and certified. They're just super gentle and calm, and it's meant to be like a judgment-free, relaxing environment for the child to just read to the dog. We're currently doing a session right now. We have more dates in November that still have the spot available. And this is a program that we run throughout the year as well. We try to do it about once a season, so like fall, winter, spring, summer. So you can always be on the lookout for that. If you don't have a library card, you can get one. They're free. You can do that at the front desk today. And then I'll be around if you have any other questions about the library.
Thank you.
Bailey, and also ask that you please take donuts and coffee on your way out. So that you can
And we'll be here if you have individual questions you want to come up and ask. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
coming. Thank you.
Thank you.